Welcome back to another episode on the Feast Studio. Today we're painting the Mandalorian. But first, let me show you how I made this sculpture.
This is the way.
I started this project out by creating a concept sketch, also called a turnaround drawing. I used some references of Mando to guide me along the way. Once I finish the concept sketch, I can start 3D sculpting on my iPad. I used parts of Mando that I thought resembled him the best. When I'm happy with the way he's looking and sculpting is finished, I can move on to 3D printing.
This is the way.
I do this by sending each file to my MacBook. And there I can add supports to each piece. This will give my printer the information it needs to use to print each layer of resin. Bringing the bounty hunter to life.
This is the way.
For this project, I made silicone molds using that printed copy. I did this so I could have a casted resin piece that is a little more durable than 3D prints. If you're curious about mold making, check out my other videos and my shorts. And now I can start preparing for paint. This part can be a little boring, but also important, so bear with me. I'll start by sanding all the little imperfections away. I'm using a 320 and a 220 grit of sandpaper, along with a few fine sanding sponges. You want to make sure the surface looks really good before spraying any paint. When I'm all finished sanding, I like to attach the pieces that I'm going to paint onto dowels. This makes it easier and I don't have to worry about dropping anything while spraying. And now I can primer them. I'm using an auto body primer. This will help create a layer on the plastic for paint to hold onto. It also helps fill any of the hairline scratches from the sanding. At this point, it looks so good that I start getting excited. But first I need to let it dry and mix up some colors for Mando. For his Beskar helmet, jetpack, and blaster, I'm going to use that Citadel silver that I used on the Grogu project. I'll need to spray the body this dirty khaki color and another brown. I know his chest, shoulder pads, and a few straps are going to be this burnt sienna color. I'll need to mix up a dark teal for his left knee pad. Other than that, I think all the other colors I have already in bottles. So let's start mixing. I'm using these little beaker jars that I got off Amazon to mix in. I really recommend them. They keep the paint airtight so that they don't dry out, and they also make it easier when pouring. I typically like to eyeball the colors, and I do my best to my ability. At first it can take a little to get that color right. I try not to stress this part too much. Alright, after giving the primer time to dry and I have all my colors, I can start laying them down. find that using the airbrush on this part helps keep it really clean. And I know there's a bit to learn if you're using an airbrush, so let me know if you need help in the comment section. It's one of the things that I hope to cover as I keep making these videos. I'm going to move on to painting his belt. To do this, I'm going to mask off that part using hobby tape. And I have a few different sizes and some masking paper to do it. Taping off these areas for spraying takes practice. It's very tedious, but in the end it pays off. You want to make sure you cover all the areas that you don't want to get the paint on. Let's fire up the airbrush and add that brown that I mixed up. I think it came out perfect. At this point we could start hand painting all the finishing touches, and I have a lot of painting, so let's go. I decided to paint the belt a darker shade of brown. That means all the taping was kind of a waste of time. But I think it's going to look even better. I'll also need to spray his bandolier to match the belt. And now I can move on to the arms. Now to add the last finishing touches and we can wrap this video up. And that wraps up another project. Before I show you the finished shots, I want to shout out everyone over on Patreon for being part of my slow growing community. And I'm also this close to releasing Beta, a new DIY platform. Well, thank you for watching the video and enjoy the finished shots of The Mandalorian.